Tell me, what is it you're hoping to accomplish here?
I'm a member of Students for Justice in Palestine. We're meeting here today because the Board of Trustees at Bryn Mawr is meeting in this building right here. The Board of Trustees talks about financial investments, future of the college, kind of how the college is run a little bit. And one of the things that we want the Board of Trustees to use its power and influence to is to publicly call for a ceasefire in Palestine and Israel and divest from Israel's military operations and stop profiting from the war. We want the board to discuss this and tell us how they've discussed it. We want accountability for the work that they are doing and for the work that we are doing together. We want them to use their influence and power to publicly pressure for a ceasefire, to publicly pressure Senator Fetterman and Representative Scanlon to call for ceasefire and support a ceasefire.
Your statement that you issued references BDS. Are you all supporters of BDS?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Well, doesn't BDS call for more than just boycotting military companies? Doesn't BDS call for boycotting companies like Starbucks and other kinds of companies that do business in Israel?
Yes, we also support boycotting companies such as that. Even if they're not directly tied to the military, they're still supporting Israel as a state and often are still tied to the military financially.
So what are some of the high-profile companies that you're calling for boycott from?
Everything on the BDS list, okay. Which is not something that I have memorized, but I know there are companies such as like SodaStream, Puma, Sabra. There's, yeah, it's really easy to look up the
do you think people should boycott Michael Solomono's restaurants?
Personally, yes, because he has raised money for Israel and has taken food that is not actually Israeli food, it's Palestinian food, and has branded it as Israeli.
And we know that boycotting is a really, really powerful tool historically. It's been used in many social movements and it's been effective, and that's why we support it and that's why we follow in that tradition.
This is part of the reason that we're calling on Bryn Mawr to divest from Israel. They have historical precedent of this. During South African apartheid, they divested and pulled their funding from there, which historically, as we know, was a terrible, evil, violent regime.
Okay. Your statement calls for the trustees to call for an end of the Israeli occupation in Palestine. For that purpose, how are you defining Palestine? Are you talking river to sea, or just what people refer to as the occupied territories?
I think from the river to the sea is what we're talking about.
Okay. So if we're talking to the river to the sea, how do you envision the end of the Jewish state in Israel?
Okay, so our focus, and I am a Jewish student, Sadie is a Jewish student, we're also Americans. Our focus and how we envision our role in this movement is really focused on ending the U.S.-Israeli military alliance. That's what we have power to do as Americans. That's what we have power to do, to call for as Jewish Americans. And we know that the solutions to the overall situation are going to be found in the people who live on that land. So that includes Palestinians and that includes Israelis. And so what we're focused on is the power that we hold as students and the impact that we can make on our institution and the impact that we can make on our government, our American government. That's the focus of a lot of the work that we're doing.
Okay, but the question was, river to sea, and if it's river to sea, that means that there is no Jewish state anywhere in what used to be called Palestine. Is that right?
Yeah. So I think I've answered the question.
Okay. How do you contrast the Israeli response to October 7th to the U.S. response to Pearl Harbor? How are they different?
You know, these are really interesting historical questions that I think are not at the forefront of our mind right now. We think that the Israeli response, the Israeli government's response, has been extremely disproportionate. To this day, over 27,000 Palestinians have been murdered by the state of Israel, and that is a horrifically huge number. That is a number that needs to end immediately, which is why we're calling for a ceasefire, and we're asking the Board of Trustees to call for a ceasefire. Yeah, like we're present in this moment, and that is our focus.
So you don't think that the Zionist entity got what was coming to them on October 7th?
I do not endorse violence, no.
I understand that. Okay. Do you, so in other words, you don't think that the Hamas attacks on October 7th were justified?
I think this is becoming a conversation that is not about why we're meeting here today, and it's becoming something larger, I think.
We don't endorse violence on any level. We know that state violence and violence coming from any individuals is wrong, and that's why we're here, is because we want an end to violence. We're calling for ceasefire. Yeah.
So your answer to the question whether the Hamas attack was justified is no comment?
I don't think that was our answer. I think we gave you our answer.
Not clear to me at all whether you think it was justified or not, though.
I think that what Ellis is saying is that we're here today because our Board of Trustees, through financial investments, is endorsing violence. And so this is us coming to say that.
You're Bryn Mawr students. You're the best and the brightest. You must have opinions about this.
I think we've made it pretty clear that we've said what we want to say, and
Okay.
I hope you can respect that.
Okay. So, do you think that the UN resolution from 1947 that recognized a Jewish state in Palestine should be revoked?
I really think this interview is going in a direction that we weren't told it was going to go in. We're here to talk about what we are doing as student activists in the name of making our institution a better place, and that's what I'd like to focus on.
Am I making you uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't want to make you uncomfortable, so I'll let you go back in there.
Thank you.